Ang live photo played his name in her smile. I found it by accident, the way you find loose change in a coat and briefly adore the past you. Riley had asked me to airdrop the group shots from Mara's party, the ones where everyone grins like they've solved themselves. I swiped, curated, tried to pick versions of us that told the truth without asking anyone to flinch. Then I held down one of the photos and it moved. Not just the jolt of a live photo, the little breath of motion we pretend is magic, but sound. Riley's head tipped back, hair sliding over her shoulder, a bright laugh that was mine to know. Off camera, soft and intimate, a man's voice said, so close I could hear the edges of his teeth on the vowels, stay. Her smile changed. That was the part I felt in the places where certainty pretends to live. It sharpened and softened at once, as if she'd been named in a language only two people spoke. The entire moment lasted a heartbeat and a half. It lasted long enough to teach me a new verb for watching. I replayed it. It wasn't an accident, a glass clink misheard, a joke from across the kitchen. It was right there in the small air between her face and the night. I tapped the screen and made it hold still, made myself breathe like a person who has earned oxygen. Then I opened the rest. Two other live photos hid their own tiny audio crimes. A second voice low to her ear like a favor, her reply a whisper you couldn't sell. No names, only the shape of one. I could have marched into the living room and held the phone up like a warrant. Instead, I put it down like a polite bomb and joined Riley on the couch. She was in the posture that says, let's be ordinary, one foot tucked, a mug balanced on the armrest, the sweater I pretend is mine draped over her shoulders. Found good ones? She asked. Some, I said. My voice made sense. That felt unfair. She reached her hand toward me without looking, the way you reach for a wall in the dark. I took it. The contact relieved something in my chest and made a worse tension. I thought about the way her smile had shifted in the video, how I had never noticed before that it had choreography. Want to watch something stupid, she said. She meant a show with nice apartments and people who share none of our problems. I nodded because sometimes you choose the soft lie your evening is strong enough to carry. We watched a plot that trusted adjectives. We made noises at the right places. We slept like roommates who love each other's dentistry. The morning had the indecency to be gorgeous. Riley looked like the version of herself that first convinced me to trust rooms. Hair in a hurried knot, mouth trying not to smile because the day was not yet asking her to. She kissed my neck while reaching past me for the coffee grinder and made a sound that, most days, makes my bones rehearse gratitude. Hey, I said, do you have the full video from Mara's toast? I want to send it to her. She blinked, searching her memory. I only did live photos, she said. You know I can't stand filming and being a person at the same time. Right, I said, same. I walked to the window. The patch of sky visible from our place performs enthusiasm for most of the day. I stood in it like it knew what I was doing. My hands remembered how to pour coffee. My mouth practiced one sentence until it lost every flavor except truth. Riley, I said, turning, there's someone else in our pictures. She set the cup down carefully, the way people do when they fear sudden noises. Okay, she said, and the word carried a small suitcase. Tell me his name, I said. Let's stop making the air do the lying. Julian, she said. She did not flinch from the shape of it. He's a colorist on the film. We started passing frames back and forth and then, frames at 2 a.m. already think they're secrets. Do you love him? I asked. The question didn't deserve punctuation. I don't know, she said, gentle and brutal in the same breath. I know I loved being looked at like a solved problem for once. I know I love you. I know I've been giving us the kind of truth that shrinks in daylight. There is a version of me that makes speeches. He stayed upstairs with the dust and old coats. The version of me in the kitchen did logistics. A month, I said. You at Mara's, me at Liam. Therapy with ugly chairs and water that tastes like a refund. Weekly walks where we answer 2 questions we don't want to answer. No rooms without windows. No secret pictures. Yes, she said, without the relief I expected. Yes. We packed like people who intend to forgive closets for their opinions. She took the sleep shirt that turns her into a story I never get tired of reading. I took the plant we have never successfully named. We looked at each other at the door like a coin you rub before a game. Can I? She began. You can kiss me, I said, as a fact, not a promise. We kissed like a decent prologue. My hand slid under the hem of her shirt and found the warm strip of her back, a territory my fingerprints still believed in. Her breath went soft at my ear the way old habits teach it. We stopped because we told ourselves to, which is its own kind of groan. Liam's couch is the home of men who thought they'd already done their period of learning. He put a blanket over my feet like a vote, and cued a documentary where people build boats because their grandfathers did. We watched until my mind remembered how to fold. Julian texted that night. If you want to see me so I'm only a man and not a problem, I'll be at the bench by the canal at noon, he wrote. If not, I'll stay imaginary and hope it helps. I nearly ignored it. Then I thought about all the times I've forgiven a ghost for having perfect posture and decided to meet a person. He was younger than his voice, older than his shoes. He didn't offer a hand. He sat down and made his body honest. I'm stepping back for the month, he said before I could hate whatever he might be good at. Not to get points, because points are stupid, and because love, whatever version we're pretending to manage, deserves an interval. Switch projects, I said. Give her a corridor that isn't yours. I did, he said. I'm grading commercials for laundry detergent. It's a punishment my therapist would approve. You can't romanticize freshness sheets. He smiled, but it was the kind you send back to the tool drawer. We sat a while. The canal pretended to be an ocean for birds. I said thank you and meant it for the narrow thing it was. Therapy happened inside a room that would look terrible on camera. The chairs were mismatched. The rug had a scar. The therapist asked for sentences that didn't try to be interesting. Riley said, I wanted to be looked at by someone who hadn't seen me look tired. I said, I wanted to get to trust without paying the toll. We said smaller things, practical things. Who cooks, who leaves the light on, who apologizes first, who remembers the good towels. It was both more boring and more erotic than I'd expected. Tell the truth and try to be lovable anyway. That's a kink as old as living. In week 2, I met Mara, another one, not our friend. The city recycles names, because I'd started walking at dusk to see if I could teach myself patience. She was on a bench with a book and the posture of someone who doesn't need rescuing from any of her choices. We exchanged the shy nod of new neighbors. Later, we collided at the bodega over a ridiculous bar of chocolate that claimed to be infused with affirmations. Take it, she said, laughing. You look like someone who needs a silly win. I told her about the live photo and how a smile can learn to lie in 11 frames per second. She told me about a husband whose apologies were all laters until later became too late. We walked, not touching, 2 strangers being useful to the air. At a corner where the streetlights were kind, we kissed exactly once. The kind of kiss that belongs to daylight. Mouths cautious, curious, hands disciplined. We stopped with a generosity I'd like to repeat. Be careful, she said. Decency is more addictive than danger. I told her I'd try. Riley and I did our weekly bench. 2 questions. When did you want to run? When did you want to stay? She wanted to run when she found one of my socks under the couch and felt like domesticity was eating her verbs. She wanted to stay when she saw a photo of us from a year ago and realized we were both still funny. I wanted to run when my phone remembered a song we taught each other and got smug. I wanted to stay when I imagined us old and rude and skilled at being kind. The plant and I negotiated an uneasy truce in Liam's kitchen light. It leaned toward whatever window I forgot to close. I turned it with a loyalty I hoped would teach me something. On day 20, Wrapped or whatever algorithm manages our days showed me a folder I hadn't seen. Live photo favorites. It had the clips from Mara's party and one from our hallway where Riley had tried on a sweater in the mirror and mouthed a word like soon. I closed it like a gentleman and made eggs. On day 29, Julian texted, "I'm moving cruise to Cleveland, not as a gesture, as a life without your city for a while. Tell her I'm not gone, but I'm not near." I told him I was grateful for the grammar. I didn't ask for a postcard. On day 30, Riley came back with a bag and a face that no longer performed for our furniture. We didn't hug immediately. We made tea. We stood at the counter with the ugly light and decided under it. "Rebuild," she said. "If you want me and not a project. If I can be someone who wanted something I didn't take." "Rebuild," I said. "Slow, boredom on purpose. Groceries like promises. If a photo moves, we talk about it before it bleeds." We kissed like a signature, and then like a sentence you've earned the right to repeat. In the bedroom, we undressed the way competent people tidy a room. My mouth found the warm strip of skin above her waistband. Her hand found my shoulder with that older claim. We kept it where morning could greet us without charity. We stopped because stopping felt less like denial and more like craft. We invented rituals that would have embarrassed the versions of us who believed in spectacle. Sunday night on the floor with our backs to the couch, we say the week out loud. I was tempted by a story where I don't have to be excellent. I wanted to be mean to you in my head, and I didn't. I watched a clip of myself from before and forgave him. We pay the honesty tax, and it buys us a quiet nobody markets. Mara and I turned into friendly nods and book swaps. Once she texted me a photo of a bench at noon with the caption, "Choose boring and earn heat." I sent a heart and didn't walk there. Sometimes I think of her mouth and feel grateful for the exact size of the moment we kept. Julian sent one message weeks later. "No cameo," I replied. "No montage." I wished him a city that contained him without letting him test its alarms. We named the plant. Not mercy, not joy, tempo. It leaned stubbornly toward the window as if it had always known. The live photos still exist. I don't press them often. When I do, usually by accident, I listen like you listen at a door you regret building. I let them play their half-second stories. I let them be artifacts of a version of us who needed instruction. Last night while we were cooking and being boring on purpose, Riley handed me her phone to add garlic to the grocery list. A notification slid down uninvited. New feature, turn live photos into long exposure. We both snorted. She took the phone back, tucked it face down on the shelf, and came behind me with the simple audacity of someone who remembers every good hallway we made. Her hand slid under my t-shirt, warm and sure. "I like our version," she said into my neck. "The one where the pictures move because we do." "I like that part too," I said. We swayed. The sauce learned patience. Our apartment practiced being a house we could keep. The sky outside forgot to impress us. Inside, tempo leaned its ordinary body toward a square of late light, and we leaned too, and that was enough.